What you're about to hear is an unprecedented, behind-the-scenes insight into a child custody dispute. A psychologist who writes reports for the family court is captured lying to and belittling a family, leaving them traumatised. The mum and dad now hope to expose her damaging conduct. A dad seeking time with his estranged son is told to fake cry by the psychologist.
If you cry, I'll tell you off, but that's okay, you can cry. I'd like to tell you off for crying if you could, okay? If you want to, just say it, okay? Because I want to feel a bit of sympathy for you.
The psychologist, Dr. Julie, is supposed to be helping Jim improve the relationship with his son, but she showed no concern when he was upset and was scathing of his ex-wife Amanda.
Can I just let things out? Yeah. What a bitch she is. She is a bitch that is impervious to rationality and good sense. Yeah. And that's the problem with her.
She likened her unconventional therapy to training a dog.
Dog training.
Yeah.
Listen to this, dog training. If you want to train a dog well, what you'll do is you'll praise them for moving in the right direction.
Dr. Julie's job was to observe the family and write a report for the judge. She's expected to be impartial and not denigrate.
You are not to argue, you're not to do anything. You either sit and listen and look contrite, and then you're going to allow me to make a bit of fun of you for looking contrite. Okay? I'm completely on your side, not on your side. Then I'll say things like, you're only doing this because you want something and you're on your best behaviour today, but we know you don't really believe this.
The couple say she was manipulative and arrogant, telling them she had the power to influence the court.
There's not many people who can go up against me, and I've got a good reputation.
She pitted one side against the other.
If I go right back to her arriving at the home, that was my first little red flag. She immediately said to my son, you only need one healthy parent and you've got it. And it just went from there, and I thought, well, you're literally telling my son, you don't need your father.
And bragged about her success.
By this stage, I'd paid $15,500. She said I achieved miraculous results all around the country. So just trust in the process.
The most traumatic sessions were in public, in a park and a shopping centre food court.
That was absolutely staggering that we were in a busy pre-Christmas shopping centre food court discussing really personal subjects. Brought me to tears. It certainly brought my son to tears.
What the couple didn't know was Dr. Julie had already been cautioned by the medical regulator for taking a mother to a wine bar for similar therapy back in 2019. Dr. Julie also gave Jim unsolicited advice on his legal case, another breach of court guidelines.
Your argument is this. Is so has to come and live with me to save him for the rest of his childhood. You see? It's got to be emotional abuse.
Jim says the therapy left him broken.
This process that I was subject to by a so-called professional pushed me to the point of finishing everything, suicide.
The psychologist?
Yeah, the one that was supposed to help us.
Amanda was also left shaken, saying Dr. Julie ignored a history of family violence perpetrated against her by Jim and refused to look at intervention orders.
This just literally inflamed drama and animosity and fear.
The therapy so upset their son, he refused to continue, enraging Dr. Julie.
She literally just looked at me and screamed at me, got up and stormed out and slammed the door.
The couple both lodged complaints to the medical regulator. The psychology board is also investigating. Dr. Julie declined to comment. But this isn't an isolated case.
No, we're not talking only about one or two. I've had difficulties with a lot of expert reports across many fields, social workers, psychologists and psychiatrists.
Family law barrister Brian Kelly believes expert witnesses like Dr. Julie, wield too much power without the accountability.
It's almost like you're getting a cash for comment, where you pay someone some money and they say something, but then they may say a totally different thing on the next week.
They also have the legal protection of being unidentified.
I don't understand why report writers get to be anonymous. Nobody else does.
Law professor Zoe Rathis says that needs to change.
Judges can be pilloried. That's not good either. But family report writers remain entirely disguised, and that can't be right either.
The family court is one of the most reviewed jurisdictions in the country. 4 inquiries in 6 years, the most recent specifically looking at the competency and accountability of experts, like Dr. Julie.
You see many of the same complaints being voiced now. I think there is reason to have a major inquiry to see what we can do better.
Former Chief Justice John Pascoe says that inquiry needs to be a royal commission.
I think a royal commission, or at least a high-level inquiry, and I think we need that. People need to be able to go and give their evidence, their experiences to an independent body.
He says there's merit in dissolving the family court.
The difficulty is it is very hard to dismantle an existing system and put in place a new one.
An earlier inquiry recommended sending custody matters to the state and territory courts. There are no easy answers.
It was probably the hardest thing I've ever experienced in my life. Humiliated and broken down in front of my son. Just soul destroying.
I would hope that this court reporter should not be working as a psychologist, let alone, a court reporter.
Any reform is too late for Jim and Amanda. Heidi Davoren, ABC News.